When I was a teenager, my family moved to a housing development that had been in a new suburb that had recently been carved out of pasture land. The soil at that place was what we came to know as creepy clay. That is, the soil looked like regular dirt, but it wasn't. When it rained, the soil became soft, and the houses upon which it was built sunk ever so little. And when it was dry for an extended period of time, the clay hardened and pushed the houses up and around. We noticed it first when a door would not close, then the windows wouldn't open, and we found out later that cracks had appeared in the foundation. We discovered that the builder of the subdivision had failed to disclose the nature of that soil to the house owners. Now, there is good, solid rock in that region of the country, and most of the owners had assumed that their houses were being built upon that good, solid rock, but they weren't. It is about this same problem that we hear in the Bible passage that Muriel just read, about the wise man who built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man who built his on sand. The wind blew, and the rains came, and the floods with them. The house that was built by the wise man withstood the natural forces, but the foolish man's house was built on sand, possibly on the edge of a Palestinian wadi. A wadi is a riverbed in the desert, rather like an arroyo in the southwest. And that is, as the water comes through, it cuts steep edges on each side of the wadi. Dry in the summer, it turns into a raging torrent when the rains come, washing out the lower part of the cliff so that the whole thing comes crashing down. Unfortunately, the builder of the subdivision went bankrupt, and the homeowners were left more or less in the lurch. They had assumed that the foundations upon which the houses were to be built were rock solid, but they weren't. So where and how do we build our houses? Where and how do we invest our time, our talents, and our treasures? Are we like the wise man who built his house upon the rock that withstands difficulties? Or are we like the foolish one that builds it in a place where the floods washed it out? Or are we like the homeowners who assumed their houses were on secure footing, but found out later they were on creepy clay? The metaphor of building the house can stand for the manner in which each one of us constructs our life and the principles upon which our life is built. It also applies to the larger church, both the church universal and this particular congregation right here, as we determine how to invest our resources and how to focus our attention and our time. For the past several weeks, we have been talking about this in our stewardship campaign. We've been talking about it with an eye to making our financial pledge for financial support of the congregation, of the church, in 2011. You have received a pledge card in your bulletin. During the week, members will receive a letter in the mail. And next week, November 7th, we will dedicate these pledges during worship, and the session will then go to work to make wise use of these contributions to build our house of faith. But I want to tell you a secret. For years, I hated the stewardship campaign, and I resisted making my pledge. There were so many financial demands on my family and so little money in the bank, and as a young minister, I was giving so much time to the church that I felt overwhelmed. I pledged, but I did so grudgingly. I did it because I had to, because it would look really bad if the minister didn't pledge. I was doing the right thing, but for the wrong reasons. A bit like the foolish man's house teetering there on the top of the Wadi's steep sand cliff. The house was fine, but the foundation was all wrong. And then it so happened during a time that I was actually preparing for another stewardship campaign and doing some research, I came across an article that really caught me. It was about the spiritual benefits of giving and the joy of giving away. Not purchasing something, not paying a bill, but just giving it away. And the freedom and joy of it. Now, by that time I had children and a mortgage, and I could not start tossing money around. But what I found out is that I could sit down and figure out what percentage, however small, I could afford to give away out of gratitude for my many blessings. And I have to admit, there was a little bit of rebellion there too. A rebellion against all the bills I have to pay. This one was because I want to pay.